Good morning. My name is Lorene. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. This is the inside of our bunkhouse, and the view that you're getting that's our ceiling. It's made out of vinyl, which means that it can be a lightweight building. And those are Claire stories, which gives us lots and lots of light. So what's happening today is it's sort of very mottily light, and this is the most consistent lighting that I can find. It's a weird view line. I'm not very happy with it. You can just see Steve's shaving brush right there. So that sort of area, through there, that's where we currently have our toothbrushes and all that kind of business. And behind me, to just beyond those pictures, we are currently working on a bathhouse. And so next summer, this will not be a combination of bed and living and bath and cat litter and storage. It'll be more of a sort of bedroom, living room situation, and all those other bits will be in the little bathhouse that Steve's building behind us. So weird angle, weird lighting, and kind of a weird day because I think this is going to be my last 24 hours up here at the camp. We're just sort of talking about that in terms of what makes the most sense. Have a meeting by phone tomorrow, and this is the first sunny day that we've had for a couple. And one of the things about Zoom meetings is it's only as good as the solar panels, because at the moment I think I'm at 30% on the computer, and can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to charge it all the way up. So my priority was making my vlog instead of my meeting tomorrow. So I hope you appreciate it. Anyhow, I might be going back tonight after dinner. It's a beautiful day. It's good to leave on a high. And we'll come back a couple of times to just close things up. We've got to bring in the docks and a boat. And in December, we have some people coming to help us with a bunch of trees that have fallen and are just a bit too dangerous for complete amateurs to deal with. So we've asked the professionals to come in and help. So, the books. What are we doing about books? So I had some pretty darn good ones in this last week. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to scare you. Okay, let's see. I'm going to start with Tracy Chevalier, The Lady and the Unicorn. I'd forgotten about Tracy Chevalier. I'd read something of hers probably 10 years ago, and she's just a wonderful writer. She did The Girl with the Pearl Earring. And I loved that book. That was certainly really good. I think actually that one was set in Holland. That might have helped me enjoy it because my background is Dutch. Anyhow, this book is about the tapestry, and there are 5 of these tapestries, and this is completely speculative on who designed them, who wove them. Parts of it hang in the Cluny Museum in Paris today, and this particular story assumes that a person called Nicolas des Innocents, or Innocents, managed to be the painter. It's a very interesting story around the master weaver, the artist, the family that did the commissioning of the tapestries. There are 5 remnants, I guess you could say. They ended up traveling through the same, not so much through the same family as sort of through the same building, if you like. And people in the last 200 years didn't really know what they were dealing with, and they were just rolled up and stuck in a corner somewhere. And the rats and so forth, mold, got at the actual original ones. So they eventually were revived, resuscitated, and treated in the proper artifacts way. When was it actually? It was in the 1490s that this was. Yeah, 1490s that this all came to pass. Those are the sort of facts of the background. And the story takes place around Nicolas des Innocents and the Leviste family and the weavers in Brussels. And the artist, Nicholas, is a real womanizer. And lucky for him, the wife of the man who is commissioning the tapestries convinces, there's a circle of convincing going on, whereby it's not tapestries about war, battles, conquering. They end up coming up with this theme around the unicorn. And so there's a different lady, not, it looks like a different lady in each tapestry, and he's used Nicholas has used the faces of the women that he has some kind of a relationship with in each of the panels. So we get to see this story from many different points of views. There, the lady of the house, the daughter of the house, the daughter of the weavers, the wife of the weaver. There's a few other, of course, Nicholas plays a role in it, and we hear his voice. So it's a really interesting sort of looping, like, yeah, I guess the motif of weaving could be used, where we're just sort of seeing all the things intertwining. And if you've ever seen a tapestry being woven, or it's amazing, because what you end up doing is you wave it from the back. There's this, what's called a cartoon, and it's in reverse, and it's on the far side of the strings, and the thread is woven so that the neat side, the presentation side, is away from you, and the back side with all the threads and yeah, there are threads there, and the what's that word, I've forgotten, shuttle is on the inside towards the weaver. So it isn't until the tapestry is finally removed from the loom that you actually get to see what it looks like, because you're only seeing about this much of the tapestry as it's being woven. So if you imagine a 12-foot tapestry over 3 or 4 months, you're only ever seeing the back of 4 or 5 inches. So there's a reveal, of course. That's kind of interesting, the way the traditional weavers did do the revealing once it came off of the looms. So you get to know a lot about the process of weaving, but it's done in such a way that, you know, it's not like a lesson. It's not, you're not being taught, as it were. I really loved this. It was really a strong, strong book. And of course, I have weaving in my background, so I enjoyed it from that point of view. I thought my brother, I'm kind of tired. My husband is reading it and enjoying it quite a bit as well. And Tracy Chevalier is such a good writer that I did pick up another one of hers. I'm starting to put the books in boxes, so it's a more contemporary one. I think it's called The Boy, so I'll be reading that one fairly soon. That's in my TBR list, to be read list. I'm having troubles with the new focus. I realized that if I just kind of looked in the camera, kind of around where the shaving brush is, then I'm actually looking at you. So my eyes are wandering. All right, the next book is China Court by Remer Godin. Now, I read the, oh my God, what was it? Green Gauge Summer. I talked about it in 1 or 2 of the last videos. And I was really impressed by this author. I thought she did a beautiful lyrical job of writing. And I felt, well, let's see what else she's got on her backlist. This book, China Court, is completely different from Green Gauge Summer in terms of its theme. I'll just read the back. Tracy Quinn, daughter of a screen star and raised on film sets around the world, returns to her adored Cornish family home, a country house called China Court. Her grandmother's recent death has set in motion events that threaten her future. As Tracy fights to save the old house, inhabited by 5 generations of Quinns, the ancestors who created it are evoked. Profligate, faithless Jared, Eliza the embittered spinster, and Ripsy, an outcast orphan who rose to become the powerful matriarch. Well, I think that's not really, it's true, but I think it's more than that, because Tracy is kind of the lead, well, she's the last in the generational lines, and she doesn't know that she's inheriting the house, and what we really are seeing are the 4 or 5 generations that precede her. And I was going to bring an elastic to like demonstrate the plot, but you know, you take an elastic and you kind of twist it up and then it all curls back in on side of itself. That's how the Rummer has managed to do the intricacies of the plot lines, because they do talk about an engagement ring. So the engagement rings of all the generations are discussed in sort of like, first you get Adsa, who's the first female matriarch, her ring, and then I can't remember who comes next. Is it Lady Patrick, and then Ripsy, and so it's just all kind of piled in on each other, and yet you don't really lose track of the plot through that. But it's not a chapter of this character and then a chapter of that character. They are kind of well, I don't want to say snarled, but they are kind of snarled in, but it's just very well done. It's a very clear storyline. Once you get the hang of it, it takes a little bit. I'd say it probably took me about, I'm going to say maybe 2 chapters to kind of figure out what is she doing. But it's not linear and it's not circular. It's just kind of I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. I would say that the plot twists at the end you could kind of see them coming in terms of, well, I can't say because it would be a spoiler. So you're going to have to read it yourself. I think she's a terrific author, and she has got a number of other books that I'm really interested in. There is The Kingfishers Catch Fire, Breakfast with the Nicolaides, and Black Narcissus. And I believe Black Narcissus is the book that she's most reputed to, or that's her most successful book. But I'm going to save that one for last, because when something's hyped up, I always get a little bit nervous and think, don't know, let's go somewhere else. So yeah, she's certainly on my winter reading list as an author. I'll just pick up in the library whatever they've got going. Okay, completely different kind of a book. I don't know if any of you were familiar with the book and movie The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. That was an amazing little book. It was about a young boy who is the son of the commandant at one of the camps in Germany where the Jews are being annihilated. And the little boy of the commandant lives outside the fence of I don't remember which one it was, Buchenwald or something, but anyhow, he befriends a little Jewish boy on the other side of the fence, and the fence has a gap in it. And eventually these two, the little Jewish lad, takes this little fellow under the fence, and things happen. So it was a beautiful, tragic, really gut-wrenching little book for middle readers. I'm not sure how they portrayed the movie. When I like a book, I tend to not go to a movie. So I don't really know how they portrayed it, whether it was like a children. I've never heard of it as a children's film. I suspect it was more of an adult's film, just given the subject matter. So this is a book by the same author, Stay Where You Are and Then Leave. I'll show you the cover. And the author is John Boyne. This is a story about Alfie. We meet him when he's about 5. His dad is going off to World War I on the date of Alfie's 5th birthday. So nobody's very happy about that. His 5th birthday is a bust. But Alfie is aware enough to realize that it's not just about him. He realizes that there's something very sad happening in his family, and it has to do with his dad, who he adores. Dad is a milkman. This is the day when milk was delivered by a horse cart, and they have named the horse Mr. Asquith, who I believe is the Prime Minister at that time. So it's kind of it's a cute joke. Dad is named Georgie, and Georgie goes off to war. And don't know if you know this, but most of the people who volunteered, you'd think that they'd be sent back. They'd done their duty right from day one. They just stayed. They didn't have to do 2 or 3 years tour of duty and then return home. They stayed till the bloody end. So Georgie somewhere starts to not be writing letters, and Mum is hiding the letters as the letters become more and more confused. First, she used to read them out to Elfie, and as time goes by, the letters just become less and less frequent and more confused, and then they stop altogether. So she tells Elfie that Dad is on a secret mission, but oh my God, how long was I off camera? Well, okay, so like Cyclops. I'm trying so hard to look there that I completely forgot about staying in the frame. Well, you know me, I don't edit these things. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so Georgie's kind of missing in action as far as Elfie is concerned, and the war goes past. Elfie's now 9, and one of the things that he does to help out his mom, there's no income. He has a neighbor's shoe shine kit, so he goes to King's Cross railway station and he starts to shine shoes. He skips school, and at 9 he's polishing shoes and making a little bit of extra money and helping out that way. So eventually he discovers the truth about his dad, and that's when the story really flies. Because it's a middle reader book, the plots they're quick, they're satisfying. You don't have a whole lot of other extraneous things happening. There are some subplots to this. It's not completely linear. But it's just so beautiful. It's really about the love of a family and the love of this young lad for his father, and the deep, gut-wrenching, soul-crushing horror of war for Georgie the dad, and consequently his family. So beautiful, beautiful book. I actually think that might make a very interesting read aloud if your kids are a little bit older. All right, the other book that we just finished, Steve and I, is The Curse of the Pogo Stick by Colin Cotterill. This is a series that we've been reading out loud for 3 or 4 summers now. This is the 5th book, so I think we read one over Christmas one year. Dr. Siri Poban is the coroner in Laos. Laos is a communist country. It's just more or less managed to get rid of its royalty, and they're having a very hard time administratively trying to figure out how to be communist, how to get things done, and how to get rid of the royalists without they did not take the path of massacring all their citizens. So they've tried to have a judiciary system, which is a challenge. It's just a lot of challenges for the country itself. And Siri Prabhan is in his 70s. He was a doctor. He was on the side of the communists, and he thinks he should be able to retire. I mean, he did what he thought was right in his youth, and now wants to, be a retired doctor. But he is the only doctor in the country who is capable of being a coroner, and that's only because he's the only one who was trained in France when he was a youth. So he actually has no official coroner kind of skill set whatsoever. And he's working with Mr. Guang, who is a young man who has Down syndrome, and Nurse Detui, who is a force of her own. She's really quite a character. So they have a mystery to solve. Siri, I guess the other important part to know about Siri is that Siri is also the host of a god who's about 1,000 years old, Yeming. And Siri, as a communist and an atheist, really struggles with being the host of a godlike being, because that doesn't make any sense from an intellectual point of view. So he's got some pretty interesting internal dialogues that go on. So Yeming, the god, is being summoned by the Hmong. It's Hmong, who are the indigenous tribes in the mountain, and they believe in shamans and a number of other things that Yaming would be representative of. So Siri, the doctor, is headed out for a conference and gets kidnapped and taken to the remnants of this Hmong clan, and has some business to be doing as the host of Yaming. And in the meantime, Detui and her recent husband, Fozi, are back in Vientiane, and there is, in the previous book, they had managed to thwart a coup, and so the leftover rebels of the royalists and this coup attempt are trying to wreak revenge. So there's two storylines going on, and Colin Cotterill he just throws in these funny little situations. So it's such a good, well-written mystery series, but it's also comical, and we really enjoy it. The next one I think is called something to do with the misogynist. Oh yes, let me tell you, I've got it right here. Sorry. The Merry Misogynist. In the first chapter, because I don't read them, but they've got it here, is 5 Dead Wives. He's just got a great sense of storytelling, and of course Laos as a place to tell the story from is fascinating. It's 1970s. I think the sort of political landscape at that time is fairly accurately portrayed. Okay, so the 2 books that I'm still reading, and I'll tell you about them later, is I'm still reading the Penguin Book of Mermaids, and this is really good. Really, it's just the perfect thing for when you're between chores and between books. So there's just very short 2-3 page long stories from around the world about mermaids, merpeople. And the other, which I had a goal of finishing this in the month of July, didn't happen. But it's a beautiful book, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And she is a botanist and in the States. And it's indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teaching of plants. It's a delight. So taking that back with me, it'll help me to remember being at the camp. It's really hard to leave the camp. You know, the silence. There's been no external noises while I've been doing this. I think a crow was calling once. The light is beautiful. The water is just, most of the time, it's just so peaceful over there in the water area. Yeah, it's really hard to leave, but we'll be back for a couple of days, as I said. And as far as Books at the Bottom of the Stairs goes, I will be back to you from Halifax next week with better, more technical then I can put information in the doodly-doo below. So that's it for me. I hope all your reading adventures and dreams continue to come true, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.